welcome back to In the City con Cristi, where we get to meet all the incredible people that make up the greatest place to live, work, learn, and play, Doral. I'm CHRISTI FRAGA, your mayor, and today I am with a very special guest. I always say everybody's a very special guest, but they're all special to me. Today we have our pastor, my pastor, Steve Alessi from Metro Life Church.
Con Cristi.
Yeah, that's right. See, In the City con Cristi. It's a pleasure to have you, Pastor.
Oh my gosh. Christy, thank you so much. Mayor.
No, and just Christy
Fraga,
here.
Thank you so very much for allowing us to be a part of this.
Yes.
We love being a part of your world. We love being a part of your life. All that you do, we have seen just so much over the years of elevation and how you've handled yourself, your family. And it's just apropos. It's something that should happen, that you are at this level. And we're glad to be a part of that in any way that we can.
Thank you, Pastor. Yes, absolutely. So I've invited our pastor here today for many reasons. Well, we just celebrated Father's Day.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Our pastor has a new book out. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book. Mm-hmm. And he's got an incredible podcast also called Family Business with the Alessis.
There you go.
And so I think it's a great podcast. I watch it all the time, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I do. I love it. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. We're also celebrating 20 years for the city of Doral.
Yeah.
You've been a big part of that.
Well, we started Metro Life Church 25 years ago last year.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. And I do remember when there was nothing here in Doral, even this particular building that we're in today, it was not here.
That's right.
Then. And the government was run by community councils.
That's right. Yeah.
And thankfully, we were invited in from the very get-go, which is one thing I've always appreciated about Doral, is they always embrace the faith community leaders.
Yep.
And so we were invited back then to start these community council meetings with prayer, and then that opened the door for us to have relationships from day one with your office. Because I remember when we did a Halloween event, and we just threw it on at the last minute at Doral Park, the clubhouse there. And when we threw that thing on at the last minute, we just decided to do it. Doggone it, there were so many people come running through those doors. When it was over, we were so exhausted. But it was a great way for us to be a part of the community from day one. So,
and you all have grown too from those days. You started on 79th Avenue.
That's right, 79th Avenue. It's now taken care of by another church.
Yeah.
And that was a great start for us. We started from nothing.
Yeah.
I've been born and raised in Miami, okay? And then I went to college, came back from college, served my dad for 13 years down in the Dadeland area, which is now our second campus. Right. Mm-hmm. And then when in 1997, I decided it was time to move forward, and my wife Mary and I came over and started Metro here. So it's just been great, and Doral has always embraced us, and I've loved having the relationships with our community leaders, and specifically you at this season of life. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Likewise for me. And I've always loved to embrace that as well. And I always felt that from when I came in, when I first got elected, I felt that there was always a good connection between our faith-based leaders and our community leaders. And I think that's so important for our city. And so I've always wanted to continue to foster that and even make it a stronger relationship, and allow the faith community to come in and help us with many aspects of our community, because I think there's so much that can be done with our youth, our families, and so that's kind of my goal. And so I think that we have a great opportunity to see that happen, and really this is a community where I feel family is a priority.
Right.
I know that's a priority for you. So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. How did you decide to start doing your podcast?
Well, let me go back to one thing real quick. You know, I have a motto for my leadership style is I lead by example, not by parking space. I don't need a parking space to determine what kind of leader I'm going to be. I'm going to go the way first and then help people, show people the way. When I look at you, I appreciate this fact that when we're talking about embracing the faith-based community, this isn't something that you just do for political purposes. You have led that way because you do come and visit our churches. You're part of our church community. You're part of other churches in Doral to make sure that you are seen and embraced and understand that. So I so value that as the leader that you are, because you don't just talk this out, you live it. Now, to the Alessi family business, the business with the Alessis, our podcast. My wife and I have been married 35 years. And here we are with our kids. My son Christopher's 32. My daughter Stephanie's 26. My daughter Lauren is 24. And Gabby is 22.
And it's incredible to have watched them grow up too.
Oh, you've seen it.
Yeah,
right along
it's
the way.
incredible to have. Chris was part of our first youth advisory board.
Yes.
So I've seen them grow up too, and now watching them get married and having their own kids.
Oh my gosh,
it's beautiful.
So we all work together,
Yeah.
and my kids love what I do.
Yeah.
First off, they love the God that I love.
Amen.
They love the church that we have built. They really do love that community, and they're good at what they do. So we work together. So we have the family business with the Alessis podcast, and we get on there and we talk about things that families have to deal with
Yep.
in life, especially working together. So that's a weekly podcast. My wife has a twin sister. She'll join her sometimes. Or my kids will get in there. You talk about new kids.
Yep.
They having grandchildren for us. So they talk about what that's like. My
Yeah.
son Christopher's having a baby, and so named after Dan Marino, a
Yeah, I
South
saw
Florida
that.
icon. So he's on there talking about what that feels like to be a new dad. And that's so important right now as we've just celebrated Father's Day.
Yeah. So how is that? How has that been being a grandfather for you? I see you're.
Oh, she's
You're
a
in
precious
love.
girl. Yeah, it's fun.
I
It
know.
really is. And I guess the big thing is to see my kid, my daughter Stephanie, and I got a
Yeah.
great son-in-law, Christopher Mwina, to see the way that they connect. And then they didn't take long, man. They got married quick.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened during COVID. Had 2 weddings in COVID about 4 months apart.
Yeah.
They got married, and a year later they have this precious little girl, little Gianna. She is precious. But to see my daughter be a mother and not skip a beat with being a professional, because still taking care of her job, her husband right alongside of her. You know, kids were never their excuse for being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can appreciate this.
Yep.
Your kids are part to be there as part of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps them right along with it. So on Sundays, our kids right up front with us, our granddaughter and our grandson, we love being able to have them up close and personal. And every so often, you know, their experiences in life, you know, I'm able to slow down at 62 years of age and enjoy a night with the grandkids. When I was in my 30s and my 40s, maybe early 50s, I didn't appreciate the time because, like this season of your life,
Yeah.
you're trying to make so much happen
Yes.
in your life and in
Yeah.
your career. This is a season of running and gunning, and so you're raising your son. You're doing a good job. You're doing your best, right? But you don't always slow down to appreciate. Let me just watch a movie with him.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that a couple moments ago, and as we just celebrated Father's Day, it's a great transition into. I was saying that today things have changed so much. It's no longer fathers are so important in the roles of their children's lives, and I even say sometimes my husband probably spends more time with my son than I do, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. I love what I do, and I've always been a very career driven woman as well. As much as I love being a mother, and it's super fulfilling to me, there are so many parts of our lives and those seasons that we have, and I love that you always say that. And so for me right now, it's been kind of accepting that I took on this role, something I wanted to do. I was so grateful that my family and my husband have been so supportive of that I
Yes.
want to do this, because I would not be able to do it without my family,
Right.
especially my husband. And so he's really stepped up to the plate and said, you know, I know this makes you happy, and we do it together to a certain extent, but part of that doing it together is him taking on such a big role as, you know, as the person at home too.
I think I could describe it this way. My wife and I work together. So we're together 24/7, more or less, in what we do in the ministry. And we've started these camps for men and women up at our farm. We got a 150-acre farm in southwest Georgia.
I
Okay, and I still,
I'm
by
waiting
the
for
way,
an invitation.
yeah, and we still, thank God, have our condo up by your place,
Yes,
getting
in
totally
Jensen.
remodeled.
Yes,
all right,
yes, awesome.
So, but we have this farm. So we take up some men and our women in our church. It's our men's group is called Goodfellas, men doing good. Our women's group is called Womanity. So we bring them up to this camp. Now I'm up there with my wife, with another couple of men in the church for security reasons. And so Mary does this thing every day, and it's intensive. They're working hard with these ladies. But my presence just being there for her, not that I have to say anything, okay? And half of the time she says something to me and I think she's asking for advice. She's not asking for advice. She just likes to tell me about it.
Yeah.
My very presence brings her the security and the strength that she needs,
Yeah.
to help her do what she needs to do. So I know Gabriel comes up alongside of you, and I so appreciate that when you're at Metro, he's there with you. Your son's there. I love seeing that. I love seeing the pictures of you and your family together, because I know from a strong woman's perspective how important it is to have the support, his very presence.
Yeah.
Maybe not his advice. His
Sometimes
counsel.
I get a little more than I like.
Of course,
yes,
because
okay.
that's our job. We think we're supposed to tell everybody exactly how to do it.
That's okay.
But
It's
just
good.
the presence,
Yes.
that's where I wish some men would understand
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, you do.
It's not always in what we have to say, and sometimes it's not always in what we have to do. It's being present.
Right.
Present
100%.
in the marriage, present in the relationship, present in the home.
Yep.
Hey, I'm okay. My wife, at one season of her life, when she was recording some music, she was on the road traveling, and I was at home with the kids. I remember my daughters, all three of them, had their first cycle when their mom was gone out of town.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and I got the call,
Oh, goodness.
Dad, can you come in here? No, I'm not coming in there, but what's up? Having to call some of the women of the church, say, hey, I need your help. Okay. Those were good seasons
Yeah.
for us as a couple. But I also went through a season
Mm-hmm.
when Mary was so active that I had to come to face with some of my own insecurities, because I was asked to be second
Mm-hmm.
for a minute.
Yeah.
And that introduced me to some insecurities that I had.
Let me tell you, it's for, I think, I'm not a man. I feel like you have
But
to
you're
point
in a
out.
man's
yes,
world.
Yes, I'm in a man's world many times. But I feel like for a man, that's probably one of the harder things. And for my husband, it's never been hard for him to step back and allow me to kind of shine. He's actually always encouraged it.
Yep.
And so that's a big deal. And I think, and I'm so grateful for that. So honey, thank you.
Yes,
You're watching.
yes.
Because he's always been my greatest cheerleader.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned, like, you know, we are very, we're very close to many of the pastors in the churches in the
Yes.
community, and I have great relationships with all of them. And I always say Metro Life is my church because that's where I started going
Yes.
with my husband when we originally decided. I mean, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic church my whole life. We decided not to get married by the Catholic church.
Yeah.
We wanted to get married by, you know, a pastor, and so we decided to start going to the Christian church, and it's no secret. I think we've had this conversation. For Gabriel, it was very hard. Still to this day, he's got his beliefs and in the way he kind of likes to praise and how do I say, recognize or his religion and things like that. He actually went through a really hard upbringing, as I think we've had this discussion before with his brother and the loss of his brother and things. But he's opened up more to like wanting to come to church with me and listen and accepting that part of it. He's a believer. It's just for him, it's always
Sure.
been hard, because when he needed the support of the church, when he needed help, when his brother suffered and basically died in his arms and was very sick, they weren't there for him.
That's tough.
And so it was very hard for him to open that door in his
Yeah.
life again and kind of accept. And I grew up going to church and being part of that, that world and always believing in my faith and wanting to go to church. And that's how I grew up. So it's been a transition for us. And so we go a lot to, we go to Metro quite a bit. We go to Presencia Viva. And I kind of let him guide that
Yep.
by the connections he makes.
Yep.
Because it's important for him to feel comfortable and want to create those relationships.
Yeah.
What I love about your church and what I love about Metro and what I always tell people when I talk about it is I love that your motto is relationship, because that's a
Yeah.
big part of what I believe my life is about. It's about building relationships. So for me, I think that that's such a great way to create a family within a family.
Yep.
And so I really value that's
Yeah.
a big part of what you guys do. And you share your relationships and your experiences with those that come and
Yeah.
that listen. I was talking to someone recently about something else, not faith related, but I mentioned to them that one of the reasons I changed from being more practicing Catholic to Christianity was because I felt that it was important for me to have a connection with my pastor, that when I was experiencing something with my husband, that I could turn and say, I'm having this situation with my husband. how is it okay to feel this way? And
Right.
the pastor or my female pastor or male pastor could turn and say, yeah, I've had that experience too with my husband. I've gone through that season with my wife, you know, and say that is completely normal. And here's how you get through it. And this is what the Bible says. And this is what the word says. And this is how you put it practically into
Yeah.
practice. So I love that. And that's and I'm learning every day. I'm not by far from perfect, and should probably invest much more time than I do into practicing my faith.
You're doing great.
But
Yes.
I do feel that I walk that
Right.
what I try and
And
say,
I
and that's I
admire
think is
that.
very important.
I admire that about you, and I admired it about Gabriel.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I wrote a book. It took me
Let's talk about the book.
15 years to write this book, Chrissy. Because this was, it's called 42.
I love what it's about.
Okay, so here's the deal. I was up in Stewart,
Yeah,
and I had a heart attack.
I know. Yeah,
For 42 minutes, the paramedics worked on me.
Yeah.
Hit me 7 times with the paddles. As I tried to write this book, time and time again, I got stuck because of the PTSD. I'd go back to the pain of that moment, and it just caused me to shut down. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just got stuck. So, the subtitle to it is A Guide to Finishing Well When You Were Almost Finished.
Yep.
So here's the deal. You tell the story about your husband. He had a 42 moment. And that 42 moment is something that hits us out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Life's not always easy.
No.
Matter of fact, life could be very cruel. When you lose a loved one unexpectedly, when you have a divorce, when you go through a bankruptcy, life could be cruel. There's no promises that life can be better. The only thing that we could do to make it better is to look at the decisions that we make when the dust settles and try to figure out, how can I make the right decisions now? Yes, I'd like to get better. I may even raise my fist towards the heavens and say, God, how could you do this to me?
Right.
How could I lose this child? How could I have this miscarriage? For Mary and I, we struggled with infertility for many years. And every time we thought we'd get pregnant, all of a sudden, boom, we weren't able to have kids. And we're like, God, what's going on? It's very easy to want to start blaming others. But here's the thing. After the hurt subsides a little bit, after that divorce is finalized, you may think to yourself, I'll never love again. I'll never have a relationship with somebody again. Give it some time. And then start looking at how you can sow the right kind of seeds in your actions that will give you a better harvest down the road. I talk about my farm. Here's what happens when you have a bad harvest. You just got to wait it out.
Right.
And then sow better seed for the next harvest. So A Guide to Finishing Well really comes down in 42. It comes down to, what am I going to do after I've been through this hard time? Am I going to get bitter, or, as they say, will I get better? And we know fine wine could only happen with time. It goes through a time of bitterness. You don't want to pop that
Nope.
bottle too soon, because it gets a little bitter. But as it sits, as it marinates, as it goes through the process that it takes, once you pop that bottle open, it's good because it had to go through even a season of bitterness. I understand why some people would get bitter. I understand why some people would run from church or run from God, maybe even run from people. Because when you have this unexpected hit that comes your way, even as a man, as a father, and you think you're the strong one and life should be perfect and you should be able to control it all, when you can't and life hits you, you got to give yourself some time. And then with that time, you'll find the strength and the ability to go forward, but make different choices, right choices.
Right.
Sow right kind of seed.
Right.
So the fact
So
that
you don't get
keep,
the same crop.
That's it. That's I know it's not
It's
real deep.
yes, no, but it makes perfect
But it
sense.
makes
Sometimes
sense,
you just have
right?
to say it out loud. Even.
Yeah. It just you get a better crop that
Yeah.
way. So when you say, my husband and he went through a hard time, but yet we still go to church.
Yes.
Right? It shows better seed that you're planting on the other side.
Right.
So I would say, as men that may be listening today for Father's Day, maybe they haven't been the perfect father. Maybe they've failed in the marriage. Best gift you can give your kid is to love their mom. Maybe you failed there. Hey, all of that stuff means that, wait, it's a wake-up call. Maybe I can make some better choices going forward. If I can make better choices, here's what I know. I promise you, life's going to get better for you. And you can be the great dad that you want to be to your family.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's such a beautiful message, right? And you know, I think that there's so many people out there struggling.
Yes.
You know, I see it all the time. So last month, May, I focused all on mental health, which is a big deal for me. And there's so many different ways to deal with your emotions, from the little kids, teenagers, to adults. And I see a lot of things in this role, right? And I get all the police reports and all the things, and I'm not even gonna share some of the stuff, but you know, we do see suicides, and there's spikes, and it's very sad. So I try and find ways that we can motivate and change people's understanding to know that you're not alone. There's so many different resources available, whether it's through us here, where we can put you in the right track to find, not through the city per se, but we have relationships with different organizations, but also through faith and through the church. So last month, while we were having Mental Health Awareness Month, we also had National Day of Prayer. And one of the things that I did differently that we had never done is we did a full exhibit in our Cultural Arts Center of art based on positive messages related to faith. So very hip and kind of innovative, using technology and things like that. And the actual exhibit was called Sagrado. I invite you to take a look at it when you get a chance. I have a piece. I have a piece here that I had bought from her a while ago, and then I said, and it's one of my favorite pieces, and it says the best book is called Faith Book instead of Facebook, Faith Book.
Oh, very cool.
So it's really cool, and so it's very modern. It's like it's really attractive to youth, and I said this is a great way to also invite, because we had a lot of different seminars and things happening for Mental Health Awareness Month, and we also had Ronald Reagan who came and did an exhibit, and so I felt like it was very nice to have them both at the same time, because people could see and they didn't even realize that they were walking through an exhibit that promoted faith, and that faith can change your life in many ways. So, you know, that's one of the things that I aspire to do in a leadership role, right? It's not just about what we could do to fix the roads, and that's all very important, and our budget and the, you know, everything government does.
You're talking about a different type of infrastructure.
Yes,
absolutely. Something of the heart, something of the soul.
And I always say, I believe our community is so family-based and family-oriented. I see it different than any other community I visit or talk to. And people talk about it like that. Doral has this special thing to it, and we're very close and family-oriented. And so I'm like, man, if we could save more families, if we can guide the youth and our, members of the community back to faith and things that can make them better, then what else can we ask for our beautiful city? So
I agree 100%. I really do. And I could talk all day because I'm a preacher. That's what we do, but I know we have time constraints. I want to say, let's pause for a minute. You skipped over something that's very important about the National Day of Prayer. When you were a school board member, you helped lock that into our Dade County schools, that they would recognize the National Day of Prayer. And it was brought back
this year.
Yes.
And I participated in the one,
There you go.
I participated in the one in John I. Smith, and it was beautiful. There was, 50 people that stayed after school to pray. Teachers sang, kids.
Come on.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was so nice. You have to join us next year. It was very, very, very nice.
Well, so you need to be applauded for that.
Yeah.
When you were sworn in as a council member,
you swore me in,
blessed me with the privilege of being there to swear you in. That was a great deal.
Yeah, it really is. I really do believe that even in all levels of government and life, but in the levels that we are in as far as leadership, we need so much wisdom. Yeah. And there's only one place that I go to find wisdom, and that's the Bible.
Oh, you need to.
And then of course, I'm hearing from from not just my pastors, but people that have done this
Yes.
before, and taking the parts that we can use to be better and to do things differently, and hopefully reap a new crop. You
Yeah.
know, that's
There you
better
go.
for that season. So
Know
I
this.
agree.
Every Tuesday morning, Metro
Yes.
Life Church.
I
okay?
know you have the prayer call.
We have a prayer call.
Yes.
It goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yes.
Thursday, Friday. Okay?
Yeah.
5 days a week. But Tuesday morning, your name is specifically called out in prayer as the mayor, as well as some of our other
Elected
dignitaries
officials,
and
yeah.
elected officials.
So important.
And we start at the president's office all the way
Good.
down, but they call you by name.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mayor CHRISTI Fraga, so you're not
Yeah.
on your own.
Yeah.
And a lot of others in the
I
church
don't feel on my
community
own, really.
are
I
praying
feel
for
that
you.
I could pick up the phone and there is an army of prayer warriors
go.
behind
There
us.
are.
So I very much appreciate that. What more can our city ask for?
Yeah.
I mean, really, we've got.
It's a good model.
We're blessed. We really are blessed. I love that we have shared this
Thank you.
on our podcast. I love the book. I haven't read it
42.
yet, but I've heard
I'm
your
putting it on
podcast on
audio, so you may want
Oh,
to wait for
that's
the
always,
audio
you know,
version.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big audio
Me
book
too.
person. I like audiobooks. You know why? Because I'm in the car and I
Yes.
put it on, or
Yes.
even in the shower. Believe it or not.
Wow.
I put on. Yeah, I have my phone like with the waterproof
Yeah.
case, and I will play an audiobook while I'm in the shower. Sometimes the only place I
Quiet
get
time.
to not
I'm with you.
to have quiet time or to be able to while I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. You take out all the time that we can get to, you know, kind of just relax a little bit. It's been a very busy few months since I walked
My
in.
gosh, not even a year.
No, it's been not even 200 days. It's been, I don't know. I've lost a little bit of count, like 150 days. But there's so much good stuff happening. We've got, you know, great plans for this
Yeah.
city. I'm super excited. I'm enthused. Like I said, how often do you get the opportunity to impact a community as beautiful as the city of Doral? I love to go out and talk to residents, hear about them, and then find ways that I can improve their quality of life. Wherever I can help, I look to help, guide, and turn them in the right direction sometimes in what we need. And I'm particularly always focused on our youth. I feel like today, more than ever, our youth need a lot of prayer and guidance.
Yep.
Another thing I love about Metro Life, so focused on our youth ministry and on, you know, on this generation
Yep.
that will lead us eventually, which is so sometimes a little bit worrisome, but I'm very optimistic.
My daughter Gabby, who leads our youth, she just had a whole lock-in the other night, Friday night, and they stayed all night long and had fun.
That's
and
awesome.
It was great. And you know what?
That's
Hey, let me give a shout out to our Doral PD.
Oh, yes. They're
Because
so great.
they're around our place on a regular basis. We pay for it because
Yes.
we sow back in the community. But man, they are right there for our youth. So
Yeah.
they're there every time our youth event happens, and those youth get to walk by our police department on a regular basis. They love them, and so we're doing a great job.
Doral
You're doing
PD
a great
is,
job.
thank you, Pastor. Doral PD is amazing, and they're actually involved in a lot of our churches,
Yes.
you know, because they have the off-duty officers for purposes of traffic. And honestly, our churches have grown so much. You guys have grown tremendously in our community. You have a whole building now.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible, the growth
Yes.
that we've seen and the prosperity that's in our
man.
community.
Why
and
not?
that comes just from, again, from what's been planted as far as,
Yeah.
you know, goodwill and prayer. I really, truly believe that. So I'm very excited for what's to come. Thank you for sharing with us after Father's Day, this beautiful message. Anything you want to say to our Doral community? Invite them to come hear you speak.
Oh, come on, man.
Come to Metro Life.
MetroLifeChurch.com. If you can't get there personally, you can stream and see what we're doing. But we're
Yeah.
all about family, and we want to help you develop your family. And Doral, thank you. You're a great community. Over the years, always been so instrumental in who we as a church have been called to reach. Because I was in Dadeland for a long time, but when I had my choice of communities to choose to plant a church, it was right here in Doral.
Yeah.
We think you're very special. So come join us at Metro Life Church. You can find us at MetroLifeChurch.com.
And your Instagram also.
At Steve Alessi.
That's right. And does the podcast have its own Instagram?
It sure does.
Yeah.
Family Business with the Alessis. They can
All
find
right.
it.
I haven't followed that one. I'm going to go
You can
follow
get
it now.
it.
I'm going to go follow it now.
You'll
I
get
follow
it.
you. I follow Pastor Mary Alessi. and I
my
follow, of course, Metro Life, of course. But I'm going to go follow the podcast because I love
very
it.
cool.
That's one that I've watched while I'm in the
Come
shower
on.
a couple of times. I have, and it's great. So
I gotta
thank
be
you,
quiet
Pastor.
here.
It was
You're too
wonderful.
funny. Thank
Wonderful
you.
to have you.
Thanks for
Blessed
the
to have you in my
privilege.
life, of course. Absolutely. Thank you all for watching us. I'm CHRISTI Fraga, your mayor here in the city of Doral. Once again, thank you for joining us on In the City con Cristi, where you get to meet all these fabulous people that make up the greatest place to live, work, learn, and play, Doral.